All right. Appreciate you joining us, Brad. We'll get right into it. We got a whole bevy of media here. We got, I think, about 31 logged on. Going into Talladega this
Well,
weekend.
hey guys, looking good. I'm looking through everybody's profile photos, so this is why Jeff Gluck, Daniel McFadden, gonna need to step your game up a little bit. Nate Ryan's making you look bad. Kelly
Uh,
too. Kelly's got a good photo. Let's see who else has got a good one.
wait, I
Andrew,
mean, you
Andrew
have to
from
comment.
ESPN's got. Yeah, I mean, you got to comment here, guys. I need you
You
all to
can't you
step it
can't
up.
comment on photos unless you comment on Pockrass's hair right now, right?
Oh, hold on, let me find Pockerson here. I am found him. Hold on one second, but y'all got to step it up. Nate, Kelly, they're all put a high bar here. Oh, there,
All
Jeff
right,
went
bud.
live. All right, there you go. Go ahead,
So we
Mike.
got
Lead us, lead us.
Dega coming up. I think when there have been a lot of polls this week, and I noticed on Twitter of the best restrictor plate driver or super speedway driver. Now that we don't have plates in NASCAR, and I think your name is always comes up in that list. So maybe just talk about that and sort of your success at Talladega and super speedway racing in general to kick us off.
Sure, Mike. Well, Talladega is one of those kind of love-hate racetracks. I love it when we win and hate it when we wreck. And lightly, it's yeah. Go ahead, Mike. You can record. Go ahead, do whatever you want to do. I think you look at that, and so it's been really frustrating for me as of late because it seems like we've been in great position and keep getting wrecked. I was rewatching the fall race. The fall race probably was, Kansas didn't go well for us in the playoffs, don't get me wrong, but the fall race probably took me out of the shot of, continuing in the playoffs. And I was in the high line drafting with Brendan Gaughan and pushed him from 20th, and we were taking the lead. I mean, literally taking the lead when we wrecked. And I was thinking to myself, halfway down the backstretch of, I'm going to push Brendan. We're going to get into turn 3. I'm going to move high. I'm going to pass him. I'm going to take the lead. This race is over. And in the 2 or 3 seconds I had time between then and when we wrecked, our entire world changed. The 18, 17 came up and hit us, and Brendan was upside down, and I was wrecked out of the race. So that just tells you, Talladega is still Talladega. Make all the right moves, be in the right place, and end up in a trash heap. It seems like that's been worse as of late. I don't know why that is. Well, I do know why that is, but I don't agree with why that is. But we'll just try to survive. If you can survive, certainly I feel like we have as good a chance as anyone else to win, if not better.
All right. Thank you, Brad. Notice a number already have raised their hand for questions. If you do have a question for Brad, please hit the raise hand button, and we'll start off with, as we usually do, Bob Pockers. Go ahead, Bob.
Yeah, Brad, you've talked a lot in the past about blocking on these tracks. Do you think these new rules will encourage people to block more if the runs aren't coming as fast, or do you think it doesn't matter?
I'm not sure what to expect there, Bob. I think the list of changes is so big that I'm having a hard time anticipating how the cars are going to drive. Small variations in how the car drives can make a big difference as to how they draft. So it's going to be a lot of kind of learning as we go in the race with having the stages and all that. I'm sure everyone will adjust quite rapidly, but with respect to that, I'm not sure what to expect enough to give a real articulate answer. But I do know one thing: we don't have to run over each other and wreck each other. The gas pedal still does have, like, it's not digital. It's not like 0 and 100. It's got like all these spots in between there. And some people have figured that out, and some people haven't.
Thank you.
No problem.
Next, we will go to Claire B. Lang. Go ahead, Claire.
All right, there we go. So, Brad, you have 5 wins and 7 top 5s at Talladega. How has your relationship with Talladega changed? You remember when you first went there? I don't know if you can ever say, well, I feel more comfortable here, I got it. Maybe you can, right? So tell us, how has it changed?
No, I don't think you never feel comfortable with Talladega. The rules change so much there. I mean, it changes almost every 2 or 3 years to where, quite honestly, that your techniques and tactics have to completely evolve. If you go back and you look at the plate races of, even 3 years ago. It's completely different, Claire. I think you go back and look at the plate races from 20 years ago, and my goodness, those guys wouldn't even know what they were looking at. I watch some of those races just because I think they're really cool and fun, and I can't even comprehend what's going on because the racing was so much different. And the moves that worked or didn't work were completely different. So you have to keep evolving in Talladega. I don't know if there's a track on the circuit where the tactics evolve more rapidly and drastically year over year than Talladega. And so, you just got to really try to stay on top of that, Claire. And it's a hard thing to do. And sometimes you can stay on top of the tactics and it doesn't matter and you end up getting wrecked anyway. But it certainly is a challenging place.
And it's a thinking track, right? There's all kinds of chess moves you can make, but they always say you can't overthink Talladega. If you start thinking about it too much, right? And you're kind of a thinking guy. Do you have to force yourself not to pre-think it before you go to the race at a place like Talladega, even with all the changes?
Yeah, Claire, Talladega is a really easy place to psych yourself out. So whether you think you can or think you can't, you're probably right. That's the Henry Ford saying, right? And it really applies to being a race car driver at Talladega.
Good luck in the race, all right?
Thank you.
Next, we'll go to Jeff Gluck. Go ahead, Jeff.
So, you talked about how quickly the tactics evolve, and there's also now such a great unknown. So what do you expect from people for this first part of the race? Like, is everybody just going to be sort of more cautious or feeling things out? Like, how do you learn until you put yourself in those positions,
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit like learning how to ride a bike without training wheels, right? You hope everybody's smart and that they take chances you have to take chances to learn. That's how you learn. But in the same token, you hope they don't take chances that are, potentially lethal to everyone else's day, causes big wrecks. But can't speak for everyone. Everybody's got a different approach. That's part of one of the great things about life is that we're all different. And on the racetrack, it plays out. Everybody has different motivations, challenges, goals, and they all kind of get thrown into this big pot at Talladega with no practice. And we'll kind of see what happens.
Thank you.
No problem, Jeff.
Next, we'll go to Nate Ryan. Nate, go ahead.
Hey, Brad. So this is a little bit of a curveball, but in some parallel universe, Sunday would be the Cup race in Chicagoland Speedway. You're a former winner there. What do you think?
Parallel universe. Okay. That's
yeah.
good.
Yeah. Imagine some bizarro place where NBC's beginning its schedule Sunday. So you're a former winner at that track. I know 1.5 mile tracks often get a bad rap, but Chicagoland, I think it's thought of generally as one of the better 1.5 miles. Do you think it's missed this season not having it on the schedule?
Yeah, I think it is thought of as one of the better 1.5 miles. Not exactly sure why that is. I enjoy it a lot. Probably has something to do with the fact that it's so bumpy. And that makes the race spread out with multiple lanes. And multiple lanes are good for passing and good for action. So, I don't know, maybe I'm completely wrong. But some tracks, 1.5 miles, lend themselves to better racing than others. But, I think our sport will certainly miss the market. The Chicago market, even though it's not too close to the racetrack, it's still, or to the city of Chicago, it still is in the area, hence the Chicagoland term. But it's hard to quantify. I think Nate, everybody's just so head down, just trying to get through everything that's been thrown at us every day and every week that it's so hard to have any perspective right now. I think that whether it's virus or protests, and that's happened globally, right? Then we have our own focused world of at the racetrack and trying to win and trying to overcome no practice. By the way, I got to do a health screening every other day, and I don't know where I'm supposed to be. I don't have any help at the racetrack. Like, it's a complete mess. And we're all just trying to kind of live through the days. And I don't know if we're really thinking about or have the perspective of months and years and, the broader context. So, I think somebody brought up, it was Jeff Gluck or somebody on Twitter, about not going to Sonoma. And this time of year, we would normally be at Sonoma. And that hadn't even crossed my mind. Not even in the faintest. People ask me what day it is, and I have no idea what day it is. Somebody told me the other day on Wednesday, said, "Aren't you supposed to be racing today?" And I had to check my calendar. Like, shoot, did I miss something? Like, so it's really hard, I guess what I'm trying to say here, Nate, to have any context to a lot of what's going on. I mean, we're all trying, but when it comes to things like trying to put missing Chicago in perspective, it's like, I'm just trying to make it to Talladega.
Yeah.
And I hesitate to speak for everyone else or pretend that I speak for everyone else that is on the weekly tour here or bi-weekly tour or whatever this tour is. But I would assume that many of them feel the same way.
That's a fair point, which maybe makes this follow-up a little bit unfair, because I know 2021 schedule is something people probably are barely thinking about, but yet NASCAR has to be somewhat attuned to that. And there's been sort of this uncertain sense of Chicagoland's future because they didn't have a race this year. Who knows what next year's going to look like. I mean, I presume you would like to see Chicagoland, though, be a part of NASCAR's future beyond this year. Yeah.
I mean, if it makes sense, I mean, they know if it makes sense way more than I do. I don't have the P&L statement for Chicagoland Speedway sitting in front of me to say, all right, we got to keep doing this or not doing it, vice versa. But I will say I do like the track. I enjoy going there. Is it, the end of the world if we can't run there again? No. But I do enjoy things about that racing area and that track. I think there's a lot of opportunities that are opening up for us as a sport. I mean, we're seeing that with Nashville and probably some other sites that I've been reading about, Road America. I'm sure more than that. Don't hold me to just those two. And I think we're proving to ourselves that we can do more with less, by running these midweek races and half the amount of people here at the races that used to be on whether it's the team side or everything else. I think we're proving to ourselves we can do more with less because we have no other choice. Certainly the ramifications of that are going to be or should be long lasting because there's efficiencies that have been gained. And I hope those get applied. I know hope's not a plan, but I don't get to make the decisions either. But I hope that what we're learning from all this is that weekday races are awesome and that we should roll forward with them next year. They're showing significant potential for ratings and for overall engagement, which is a great thing, tremendous thing. And I hope that's one of the key lessons. But whether it's different tracks, different venues, different schedules, setups, rosters, I mean, I'm all ears. I just want what's best for the sport. And without being able to see all the data to speak, to 100%, knowledge base, I would say the knowledge base that I do have, there's a lot of things I like, and one of them is Chicago.
Thanks for your time.
No problem.
Next, we'll go to Mike Solarte. Go ahead, Mike.
Hey, Brad, as you guys go in week by week or week, then midweek, and the lineups get, randomly drawn, do you feel this is helping the racing and is going into this week at Talladega with the way that the lineup has been set? Is that advantageous to better racing? Is that from a driver's standpoint, where do you stand on how this is going on? Because you don't have qualifying, you don't have practice, and a place like Talladega where you guys really have the opportunity to draft and practice and set up the cars, you guys are kind of going off notes and everything, but you're still essentially kind of throwing darts, no?
Yeah, it hasn't been as big a deal as I thought it would be. I was nervous starting on the pole for Darlington. I was just going to go down in the corner, turn one, and just, I forgot how to drive. Seems like I have that moment once a year. You sit all off season, and when you sit in, just being normal all off season, you get ready to get in that car at Daytona for that first practice. You pull the belts tight and you put the steering wheel on. There's always that quick moment of like, hope I remember how to do this because I'm about to go in that corner at 200 mile an hour. And I just hope that my brain and hand and feet are all still connected like they were before. And so far that's worked out okay for me. So try to shrug those off as just being those silly insecurities. But they really rear their head when you have no practice and you lead the field into turn one. You just want to make sure you don't make a fool of yourself. But there's been some small issues. You know, you look, I think weight's fallen out of a couple cars, and I'm sure some setups have been missed, you know, where guys just kind of over predicted certain features. But for the most part, I think it's been really, really smooth. I really liked, to that point, when we were running races back to back. I think we did Darlington and Charlotte as double headers, Sundays and Wednesdays. I really like the idea of taking the top 20 and finishing and you know, inverting them for the next race for starting position. I thought that created some great racing. I understand you can't do that when you're going to different tracks, but so far I really liked how it's played out.
Thanks, Brad.
No problem, Mike.
And next question will go to Cole Cusimano. Cole, go ahead.
Cole, I'm just grabbing the water, so go ahead and talk. I can hear you.
All right, cool. So it was mentioned previously how you were in the conversation for one of the best superspeedway racers of all time. What would it mean to you to get that 6th career win at Talladega and be tied for second most all time with Dale Jr. and Jeff Gordon to kind of solidify that elite status?
Well, without having a Daytona 500 win, I think it pretty much kicks me right in between the legs and being able to lay any kind of claim to that. But I'm hopeful we can get that. You know, winning the Coke 600 was awesome, and I don't want anyone to take this any other way than that. But in some ways, it was also like a huge moment of anxiety for me, because I know that all I'm missing off kind of the crown jewel resume now is the Daytona 500, and I know how close we've been, and it just makes me just want to explode inside. Somebody once told me that, you know, if you go to the Olympics, Cole, and you score a silver medal, that's the worst thing that can ever happen to you. You know, the guy that scores a bronze is thrilled because he got a medal. The guy who won the gold is obviously thrilled because he won it all. But the guy or girl who got the silver, that's the one who's really frustrated because they medaled, but they were this close to winning the gold. And, you know, I feel a little bit like a silver medal winner right now on the plate tracks. I know that not having the Daytona 500 is it's a huge miss. And until you have that, I don't think you can be in those discussions.
Sure. Thank you. Good luck this weekend.
No problem. Thanks, Cole.
Thank you, Brad. I know you have a busy day of media today. Appreciate all the time today with our core folks, and good luck this weekend in Talladega.
Thank you. Have a great day, guys and gals. Appreciate you. Stay safe.
See you.
Hey, Brad.
Thank you.
We will keep this link open here for our next couple drivers. Corey LaJoie will be here at 1:45 and Kurt Busch at 2:15. So you're welcome to stick around. We'll keep it open, or go about your day and come back. We'll be here. Thanks for everyone for joining for Brad.